million years ago, the African savanna was not a place of peace. It was a place of constant negotiation between life and death, and only those who could read its signals survived another day. The grass moved differently when something large was nearby. The birds fell silent before the predator appeared. The water at the riverbank carried the scent of whatever had drunk from it last. For Homo erectus, reading these signals was not a skill. It was the difference between morning and no morning at all. These two had been walking since dawn, moving through the world as their kind had always done, alert, observant, alive to every sound and shift in the grass. Their brains, already 75% the size of ours, processed the savanna continuously, not passionately, efficiently. The way a mind processes information when the cost of missing something is everything. The tracks they found that morning changed the direction of the day. Pressed deep into soft earth near the water, each print larger than both hands placed together. Something enormous had passed here recently. They exchanged no words. Their kind had none. But the communication was immediate and complete. They changed direction without discussion and kept moving. What they found instead was something neither of them had any framework to understand. Hidden in a rocky ravine, inside a cave sealed from the world by shadow and silence, a nest. 4 enormous eggs, each the size of a large stone, covered in dark, irregular spots, warm to the touch. Their minds did not have the concept of dinosaur, but they had the concept of food, of survival, of a find so significant it had to be carried home regardless of the cost. The cost, as it turned out, was considerable. The river tested them first. The man entered with both eggs raised above his head as the water climbed from knee to waist to chest. A single moment of lost footing showed exactly how thin the margin between success and catastrophe truly was. He held his balance. She crossed beside him, both arms wrapped around her 2 eggs, water at her waist, nothing to hold on to, and no one able to reach her. They made it to the far bank, checked what they had. Still 4. The vultures found them on the open plain. Argentavis magnificens, prehistoric birds with wingspans exceeding 6 meters, had gathered in enormous numbers around the skeleton of something vast on the savanna floor. When the birds turned their attention toward the eggs, what followed was not panic. It was calculation under pressure. He stood his ground. He drove one back. He chased one that had taken an egg and caught it from the air before it reached the ground, reading the arc of a falling object and moving his body to the right position before it arrived. 2 eggs were lost regardless. 3 remained. Then came the hyenas, Pachycrocuta, prehistoric hyenas the size of large wolves, settled outside the cave entrance as night fell and did not leave. Inside, the man kept the fire burning through the long hours, managing what wood remained with deliberate care. The woman kept the remaining eggs close to her body, close to the fire, close to everything warm that remained. It was not enough. The hyenas pressed in twice during the night, drawn past the barrier of the fire by the scent of the eggs. 2 more were lost before morning came. When the hyenas finally retreated from the growing light, 1 egg remained. 1 egg. carried across a river, defended against a sky full of 6-meter wings on an open plain with no cover, held through an entire night of patient predators working at the edge of the firelight, still intact, still warm. The crack appeared at dawn, a thin line across the spotted surface that had not been there when the fire was last fed. Then movement inside the shell. Then a piece falling away from within. The man reached for his stone tool by reflex. The woman stopped him. Something in the rhythm of the movement told her what no prior experience had prepared either of them to understand. What emerged was small, wet, unsteady on legs that had never carried weight before. It looked up at them with large, dark eyes that contained no fear, because it had not yet lived long enough to learn what fear was for. For a few hours, the cave was quiet. The fire burned low. The baby made sounds. 2 Homo erectus sat beside something alive that they could not name and did not move away from. They had carried it across the world. In some way that their minds could not articulate, but their bodies understood without being told, it had become theirs during the carrying. The sound it made when it cried that morning carried further than any of them knew. The mother had been moving since before dawn, crossing the same savanna in the opposite direction, following the specific scent that a mother follows across any distance without stopping. When she arrived at the cave entrance, as the sun came fully over the horizon, she filled the opening completely. Every tooth, every scale, every ancient instinct focused entirely on the small sound coming from inside the dark. Some things cannot be outrun. Some things cannot be driven back with fire and stone and the sound of a human voice. Some things simply arrive at the entrance and fill it completely, and remind everything sheltering inside that the savanna was never truly theirs to claim. 1 million years ago, survival was rarely a straight line. It was a series of obstacles crossed, and obstacles that crossed you back. These two had done everything available to them, read the signs, carried the weight, kept the fire alive through the longest hours. They had simply not known what they were carrying home.